Then I'd like to start my presentation. The title of my presentation is The Life Motifs in the Jātaka. 1. Introduction. 1. In this presentation, I'm going to examine Champeya Jātaka in the Pali Jātaka, employing methodology of folklore studies. Concepts and terminology are used, such as folkloristic motif, a life token, and folk tale types named a grateful Naga and the two brothers. I'd like to show you the outline of my presentation first. Champeya Jātaka, strictly speaking, the story of the past of Champeya Jātaka, first of all, is based upon one of the grateful Naga type of story, and then it introduces the two brothers type of story with a life token. It introduces the two brothers type of story with a life token motif and other elements driven by literary interests, and finally completed as one of the Jātakas with a Buddhist teaching encouraging Uposatha. 1.2. One of the peculiarities of the Champeya Jātaka is that the main character is not a human being, but a Naga. This is thought to depend upon the life symbolism of snakes. Snakes have been worshipped with a feeling of awe around the world and full of symbols. Life, immortality or rejuvenation, wisdom and wealth, and so on. Especially, snakes' rejuvenation by shedding their skin is a universal concept. The oldest known example is observed in the Epic of Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh acquires a sea plant for rejuvenation, but a serpent steals the plant and leaves after shedding its skin. This myth explains why snakes have attained immortality or rejuvenation and humans not. 1.3. In the ancient India, a metaphor of snakes shedding their skin on an anthill is observed in Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad 4.4.7 and Stanipata 1.1. I have to skip them to save time. In this context, snakes shedding their skin is likened to abandoning negative emotions such as anger, passion, craving, conceit, and so on. It is with the appearance of a slight sophistication based upon the concept of attaining immortality by skin sheddings. And 2. Champeya Jātaka 2.1. Now the story of Champeya Jātaka. Now I'll concentrate only on the story of the past of the Champeya Jātaka. It is roughly as follows. The story of the past. The Bodhisattva is born as Champeya Nagaraja because of his covetousness, a kind of jealousy of Naga's wealth. Feeling remorse, he attempts to perform uposatha in order to be reborn as a human being. However, he is not able to keep the vow of celibacy because of attractive Naga girls in the Naga's palace. Therefore, he decides to go to the outside world and perform uposatha on the top of an anthill somewhere, saying that whoever desires his skin should take it, and whoever desires making him a street performer should do it. One day, asked by his queen Sumana, he tells her that 3 kinds of signs will appear when his life is threatened. The lotuses in the palace garden will wither if he is seized by a snake charmer, and so on. A Brahmana, a snake charmer, captures Nagaraja and makes him work as a street performer, and the spectators are so pleased and give much money. The wicked snake charmer brings him to King Ugasena in Varanasi to earn more. Now, the queen Sumana finds one of the signs and learns that her husband falls into the hands of a snake charmer. She pursues him and stands in the air, taking the form of a weeping human lady, crying human lady, above the courtyard of the palace, while her husband, Nagaraja, performed for the king Ugasena. Nagaraja sees her and, being ashamed, hides himself. The human king releases the Nagaraja after hearing about the situation from Sumana. Nagaraja invites the human king to Naga's palace and gives him Buddhist teachings and gold and treasures. 2.2. There are 2 comparable Jātakas to Champeya Jātaka, that is, Bodhisattva Jātaka and Sankapala Jātaka. Broadly speaking, these 3 have a shared storyline. A Naga attempts to donate his own body in order to be reborn as a human being. He is captured by a wicked man, a snake charmer or a hunter. After that, he is rescued by another man, and the grateful Naga gives him Buddhist teachings and treasures. Bodhisattva Jātaka has a long and complex story, consisting of numerous motifs and elements, without a life-token motif. It is full of Buddhist discourses and has been studied from the perspective of Buddhist thought research. On the other hand, Sankapala Jātaka has a short and rather simple story and no life-token motif. Therefore, I mainly study Champeya Jātaka in my presentation. 2.3. The motif, life token, is included in a tail type ATU303. The twins or blood brothers. In a catalogue of international tail types by Hans-Jörg Utter, ATU, which is revised version of Anti-Arne, and Stins Thompson's catalogue, AT. The same motif is found as E760 life index and E761 life token in a motif index by the same Stis Thompson. ATU303 describes a typical storyline of the two brothers, but now I'll skip it to save time. The Kinder und Hausmärchen by Jakob and Wilhelm Grimm has this type of tale with the life token motif KHM60, the two brothers, and KHM85, the gold children. We can also find the same type of tale in Giambattista Basile's novella Pentamelon. This motif, a life token, and this type, the two brothers, have spread not only in Europe but also around the world. When a faraway brother's life is in danger, something left at home associated with him shows a certain sign. This is what is called a life token or life index in the field of folklore studies. It is thought to be an example of sympathetic magic or contagious magic coined in The Golden Bough by James Fraser. 2.4. The oldest known example of a life token motif in the two brothers type tale is from the Dolpini papyrus in the ancient Egypt. The story is long and complex, containing a number of motifs which are observed in numerous oral and written literature in later times. And the story is roughly as follows. A person, Bata, B-A-T-A, Bata lives in the house of his elder brother Anup, A-N-U-P, Anubis, One day, Anup's wife attempts to seduce Bata and being refused, falsely accuses him. Bata leaves Anup's house after telling his elder brother that he will go to the valley of pine and will put his heart on the top of the pine blossoms and he will die if the pine tree is cut down. Bata also foretells Anup that if something has happened to him, a pitcher of beer given to Anup produces foam. And another of wine turns bad. Bata takes a wife in the body of the pine, and she betrayed him and becomes the chief lady of the pharaoh. Asked by her, the pharaoh makes the pine tree cut down and Bata falls dead. and takes actions as told by his younger brother and seeks Buddha's heart for many years. Finally, Anup picks up a pine cone and gives home with it. It really is Buddha's heart, and Anup drops it into a bowl of cool water. Anup makes his younger brother drink the water containing his heart, and Anup becomes as he used to be. And after many other episodes, Buddha becomes the pharaoh, and Anup his crown prince. 2.5 There are two kinds of life motifs in the two brothers of the Daubini papyrus. Here I'll concentrate only one of them, a life token, to save time. A brother, before going on a journey, tells his elder brother that when something happens to him, that is, he is dead or in danger, one pitcher of beer given to his elder brother produces foam, and another of wine turns bad, and in that situation his brother should come to rescue him. 2.6 The meaning of a life token motif in the two brothers type. A life token motif primarily exists in the two brothers type tale. An important element in the two brothers type is a relationship of being blood brothers who are born of the same parents. One of the brothers sets out on a journey for some reason, and is dead or in danger in his heroic adventures for the purpose of obtaining a wife. The other brother learns that his brother's life is threatened, comes and rescues him after the brave deed. And being away home, both of the brothers have a happy marriage in the end. In some cases, only the first brother has a happy marriage. These are important series of motifs in folk tales. That is, blood brothers are introduced, their journeys or adventures or heroic deeds occur, and as the result of these, their taking wives follows, and the story ends with their happy marriages. In addition to the above motifs, almost inevitably, the two brothers type tale possesses what is called a life token or life index motif. Before the first brother starts, he tells the second one that a certain signs often associated with water appear if his life is threatened. Not only the two brothers of Daubini papyrus, but also Champeya Jātaka introduces a number of folkloristic motifs from the two brothers' type tales. In the case of the two brothers of the Daubini papyrus, Buddha goes to the valley on the pine because of a problem with his elder brother and his wife. That is able to compare to setting out on a journey. Buddha marries a woman in the valley of the pine. That is able to be compared to obtaining wife. However, it doesn't end up as a happy marriage for the sake of the subsequent development. Concerning Champeya Jātaka, Nagaraja leaves Naga's palace and is captured by a snake charmer and brought to Varanasi, enduring hardships. That is comparable to setting out on a journey and/or heroic adventures. Nagaraja has already had his queen and does not take another wife. There is no obtaining wife, and the person who plays a role of seeing the sign, the life token, is not his brother, but his wife. We do not observe the original importance of blood brothers in Champeya Jātaka. 2.7 Several literary elements are observed in Champeya Jātaka. Here I'll show you two of them. 1. The person who sees the Nagaraja giving a performance is not his brother, but his wife. In one of the comparable Jātakas, Guridatta Jātaka, the elder brother takes a role, and in the other, Sankapala Jātaka, there is no performance scene. This change of the role from brother to wife is a peculiarity of Champeya Jātaka. A Nagaraja giving a performance in front of his wife should be more embarrassing and more humorous than in front of his brother for the audience and or the reader of the tale. And literary elements. 2. In the scene of the performance, the Nagaraja plays enthusiastically. According to the story, he changes his color into black and so on, his shape into round and square, his size into large and small forms. He spreads his food as if 100 times or 1,000 times. The spectators are so pleased and give much money. This is reproduction in language of a real Cobra street performance, which has been given until now or until recently. The description entertained the audience and or readers of the tale in the same way as the spectators in the Jātaka tale. 3. Conclusion. Champeya Jātaka, strictly speaking, the story of the past of Champeya Jātaka is first of all one of the grateful Nagas type of story, and then it introduces the two brothers type of story with a life token motif and without the original folkloristic importance of blood brothers relationship. After that, it adopts other elements driven by literary interests and finally completed as one of the Jātakas with Buddhist teaching encouraging Bodhisattva. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor.